I went on an aggressive cut and I lost 10 kilo in 4 weeks. Here's exactly how I did it. First things first, I'm not telling you that you need to do this. This is just what I did to get as much fat off as quickly as possible. And if you're gonna go into a steep deficit, it'd be wise to consult your doctor first to make sure that it's safe to do so. Now that that's out of the way, step one, set your calorie intake. I set mine at 1500 calories. Now, pairing this with my training and my cardio put me in a deficit of around 1500 to 1800 calories a day. Oh, but you're gonna lose all your muscle if you restrict your calories to such low amounts. I am still yet to see any valuable or credited evidence that shows that steeper deficits result in more muscle loss. This brings me on to step two, which is setting your protein amount. This needs to be high. Why does it need to be high? Because we want to maintain as much muscle as possible, and having high protein will help us to do so.
Protein rocks.
A rule of thumb that I like to follow is around 3 grams of protein per kilo of body weight, which at the start of my cut put me at around 230 grams of protein. Next up's your carbs. Now, the only rule of carbohydrates during this process is to fuel your workouts. That's all. Now, of course, this means that your carbohydrate intake is going to be very low. Me personally, I was going on just one banana just before my workouts, timing it just before my workout to give me enough energy for that session. And I felt like that was enough carbohydrates to get me through my session and still have an effective workout. I'd recommend that if you are going to partake in an aggressive deficit, the only real place that you want to strip most of your calories is from your carbohydrates. Now, this is not because I'm no carb or a carnivore warrior, and I 100% agree that carbohydrates are an essential part of building muscle.
You need carbs.
However, building muscle is not a priority during this process, and it's much more important to keep your protein high to maintain as much muscle mass as possible, and keeping your fats at a suitable level just for health reasons, keeping your sleep quality in check, keeping your hormones in check. For me, that is much more important than just having a better pump or a bit more energy in the gym. Which leads us into step 4. Setting a fat amount. Now, I've tried low fat before and I quickly ran into some sleep and hormonal issues. Therefore, I do not go under 50 grams of fat when I partake in this process. You can go slightly lower with your fat amount if you want to. However, I do not recommend going too low with your fats, as this is when you're going to start running into sleep problems, hormonal problems, and that's really not what we want during this process, or at all. Now, your diet needs to be full of nutrient-dense foods. You are on 1500 or less calories. There is no room for waste. All of your meals need to be nutritious enough to ensure that you're getting all the vitamins and minerals you need just to stay healthy during this process. A few nutrient-dense foods that I used during this process included eggs, lean beef mince was a big one that made up the majority of my diet. I ate a lot of tuna and occasionally dialed in a bit of liver, which not really a big fan of, but it's very nutrient dense, very good for you. Oh, but Elliot, that's so bland and it's got no flavour. I don't care. This is a simple 4-week in and out process. And if you can't achieve your goals because you can't sacrifice flavour for 4 weeks, you are lost. Finally, your training sessions should not change just because you're on lower calories. It's very important that we keep the intensity high to maintain as much muscle mass as possible. There is no reason why you should be losing strength during this process, and in fact, you should still be trying to progressive overload. You can still make strength gains on low calories, as shown. Now, of course, this will come down to programming. I'm not going to touch on that now. I'll go over that in another video. Okay, so the mic cut out here, but I've covered everything that you need to know about aggressive cutting. If you do have any questions or you're going to try and do this yourself, leave a comment down below and enjoy the fat loss.